but we recently did post some data on vaccination and unvaccinated and vaccinated individuals in Riverside County. So this may be a small graphic, and I'll just kind of read off some of the highlights. So when you look at kind of our collective data for the vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals in Riverside County, unvaccinated individuals have had approximately 37 times a greater likelihood of having COVID and 120 times greater likelihood of dying from COVID than fully vaccinated individuals. This is over sort of a longer time period. And so if you see or hear any numbers that don't make sense, sometimes numbers may vary depending on what time course we're looking at, whether it's the past month, the past 6 months, etc. But if, in this graphic, if you're able to see it on the left side, are all those who've been fully vaccinated in Riverside County during this time period. And it was just over 1 million people. And of that 1 million individuals, we had about 3,700 cases of COVID, or about 0.35% of those individuals. And then of that group, we had 23 deaths. So again, 23 deaths out of over 1 million people vaccinated. In contrast, on the right side are the unvaccinated individuals, of which there are approximately 830,000 in this data set. And of that group, about 109,000 of them developed COVID. And then from that group, we were 2,000 deaths. So, if you're about 1 in 300 vaccinated individuals in Riverside County developed a post-vaccination infection. In contrast, about 1 in 8 unvaccinated individuals developed a COVID infection. So really quite striking in terms of that data. And we could go to the next slide. And we won't go into detail, but the last 2 bars in this graphic just show how the new cases are broken out by either unvaccinated or individuals in sort of gray blue, or vaccinated individuals in red. And you can see the last couple months, we've had an increase in cases in vaccinated individuals, especially with the Delta variant. So 15 to 17% of the new cases are occurring in vaccinated individuals. Next slide. But overall, again, if we look at, for instance, the deaths on the right side, about 97% of all the COVID-related deaths in Riverside County have occurred in unvaccinated individuals, and about 2.9% have happened in fully vaccinated individuals. Next slide. And then we do get this question a lot about, what's the breakout in terms of hospitalized individuals. So roughly, it's been pretty stable over the past several weeks. About 90% of the hospitalizations related to COVID are happening in unvaccinated individuals, and about 10% in vaccinated individuals. So what you really see is sort of a progression where the vaccine doesn't prevent all infections. So we're seeing 15 to 17% of the new cases happening in vaccinated individuals, but it does really seem to be protective for serious complication, hospitalization, and death. And so in the hospitalized, about 10% are fully vaccinated, and then again in the group of deaths, about 3% of them have been fully vaccinated. Next slide. And then this one, it may be hard to read, but it just shows the breakdown for children. And, just kind of calling out maybe the last 2 or 3 months when adolescents have been eligible for vaccination. If you just look at that group and you compare the vaccinated and the unvaccinated, in the unvaccinated 12 to 17-year-old group, we've had over 2,000 cases of COVID. And in the vaccinated group of 12 to 17-year-olds, we've had about 60 cases.